Les habla nuevamente Cristian Vallejo, enólogo de la Viña VIK, y quiero invitarlos a un nuevo VIK Sessions. Hoy día estaremos con una persona muy especial, directamente desde Nueva York. Nos estará acompañando, experta en vinos, una persona increíble. Hi everyone, this is
Hi.
Cristian Vallejo, winemaker of Viña VIK. Today we will be with a very, very special person. She knows a lot about wine. She is fantastic. She will be with us talking about our wines. Nicole, how are you?
Hi, cheers. I'm good. How are you?
Really good. We are so happy to be with you today.
I'm glad to be here. Now, I wanted to ask you, which wine should I open right now while we're chatting?
So we will go with Milla Cala, VIK, and La Pubelle, in that order.
This one first.
Yes, Milla Cala first, and then VIK, and we will finish with La Pubelle.
Perfect. I'm on it. So happy Friday.
Well, good. It has been raining today, so it's a very good news for us. We had the last 10 years very dry years, so it's really good for us that today we have some good rains.
Okay, good. I'm
So
glad to hear that.
we're really, really happy.
I'm glad to hear that.
So while you are opening the wines, I would like to all our guests from Chile and Brazil to know about a little bit more about you.
Yes.
So you know that we are very passionate people about wine. We are very passionate about what we do, especially personally also really passionate about how to make the wine and the vineyard management. And we know that you are also really passionate. You
Yes.
started, and you're a professional in dancing, where obviously that needs a lot of passion and to be very accurate. And also, you're very passionate about wine. So please tell us about those two passions that you have and how you go from to be a professional dancer to into the wine.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up dancing. I started dancing at the age of 3. I danced my whole life, and I even went to university for dance and received a BFA, Bachelor of the Fine Arts in Dance. So we're talking, this was my life. After I walked the stage and graduated university, I accepted my first contract with a cruise line, Carnival Cruise Line, and I also danced for Princess Cruises. So I was in the cruise line industry dancing professionally for about 3 years. From there, I jumped to Walt Disney World in Orlando, kept the fun going. And then from there, I actually went on tour with Disney and then traveled the world performing shows. I did all this for about 6 years. And after 6 years, it was time to kind of settle down, plant some roots, figure out what my next move was going to be. I moved to New York City. I met my husband. And I started working in the fashion industry because that was kind of the next thing that was calling me. But this whole time, while I was not dancing, there was like this very empty space in my heart and in my soul for something that I loved and that I really just was part of me. So in 2014, my now husband and I took a trip to Napa Valley in California. And it was there that I really truly discovered wine. So it was there where I was learning about the stories, the winemakers, the stories behind the labels, the process of vine to glass. And all of it really inspired me. And so when I think about dance and I think about wine, right, they're so similar because they are really truly both art forms. They both tell a story. And in order to convey that story, there has to be this choreography, right? That whole winemaking process is very, very similar to the process that a choreographer comes up with to present their final piece. So I found all of these similarities, and it was just so fulfilling. And once I started learning more about wine, I realized I didn't know anything about wine. The more, I think that goes still today, the more you start learning about wine, you're like, oh, actually, the more I learn, the less I know. And it's just truly filled that hole in my heart that dance used to fill. So it's definitely a huge part of my life now.
Wow. So I have to tell you something that my daughter, the youngest one, she does roller skate dancing.
Oh, wow.
And I saw her when she trained that she has to be very, you know, accurate and has to be very patient and she has to pay attention in every details when she's dancing on the rollers. Also the dress, the music, everything is like a lot of details. And wine also needs a lot of details. In our case, we pay attention in all the different details to get the quality that we are looking for. So just one more question. In these two passions, sensibility is really important because when I saw her and she's doing she's presentation, she's number 5 in Chile at her age. She's 9 years old.
That's
so
amazing.
It's really, yes, it's really something that I feel that comes from inside. Wine is also something that comes from inside, that sensibility. So for you, how you develop the sensibility from the dancing to the wine? Now that sensibility, that taste, also in fashion, we know that also that part for you is something really particular. So that how you develop all that part in the wine?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, I feel like there is such a story, and there's such like you said, it's very specific. You have to train your whole life as a dancer. You have to train as a winemaker, as a wine grower. And all of these things are reflected in your final product, right? So the final product here is the glass. The final product as a dancer or performer is what goes on the stage. And, you know, it takes a lot of training and it takes a lot of practice, and everything has to be just right to convey that story. And then same with fashion too. You know, you're picking, you know, I work in men's fashion. So you're picking certain things for the next season, and it all has to come from an inspiration. So if you're truly trained and your inspiration is coming through in the final product, you know, you won, you know, you've done it. So, you know, it takes practice with anything. And as long as you have that right training and that right practice, you should be able to convey that and kind of make those connections and tell those stories, whether it be through the glass, on stage, on roller skates, on the runway, and in life.
Wow. That's beautiful. For us, details are really part of our philosophy. Well, we will talk about our wines, and probably you have a lot of questions how we have been producing our wine. But just let me tell you about our philosophy, maybe to start. Our philosophy for us is holism. That comes from Aristotle, and means that the whole, which is the wine for us, is more than the sum of each part. It's something really particular for us because we think that today people, as you were saying, they're really looking for something special, something that is, you know, details, something that gives them something particular. And for example, we take care about the sustainability, and people is looking for products that they really care about nature. Right. So our philosophy is based on holism, in terms of to produce our wine to be part of the great wines of the world, but being respectful with the nature, being, you know, we produce our wine trying to show the flavor of the terroir as natural as possible. We work in a way organic. So in our philosophy, as you were saying, we really take care about details to be there where we need to go to get that quality. So that's our philosophy, to be in all the details. If I would, you know, the family, the VIK family, Alex and Carrie, they really take care about all the details and how to produce our wine, and they are really involved in every area in order to be aware about every single step to produce our wine. For example, art is really related to all that we were talking of. They love art. They are people that they really pay attention on all the details. And this is something really fantastic that dancing, art, wine, all these areas that they're about fashion, that they're about sensibility and passion, it's all about.
Absolutely. And going off of what you were saying about the holistic approach and being organic and farming, or that, and one of the things that I love saying is, you know, when you take care of your land will take care of you. And so what I'm getting from this glass, that really shines through, because this is absolutely stunning. This nose is unlike, I mean, it is beautiful.
Thank you very much. Well, we start with the wine. To taste the wine, the VIK.
Absolutely. So for those wondering.
Well, I have this wine. It's a blend of 5 varieties. Cabernet Sauvignon mainly, 68%, 15% Merlot, 9% Carmener, and 5% Syrah, and just a touch of Cabernet Franc. It's a blend that, for me, has to be a wine that's really, you know, fruit-driven, juicy, but at the same time elegant, beautiful tannins, round and soft.
Absolutely. I find that in this wine, there's this beautiful kind of like high acidity from the Cabernet and some black fruit there, but then the Merlot brings out this beautiful red plushy kind of fleshiness to it, kind of just balances out the acidity. And, you know, I'm finding both red and black fruits here, and a little bit of herbal notes too, and some spice, which is just beautiful. It's all balanced. I'm really loving it.
Thank you. Let me show you our terroir, because that will explain that part that you were describing about the freshness of this wine. As you can see in the picture, the property is around 4,300 hectares, but we have planted 300 hectares of vineyard. On the right side, there's one of the valleys that we have inside of the property, and at the end of the property, the other side of the mountain, is the ocean. So the Pacific Ocean give us something really particular, because the wind that comes from the ocean goes into the property. You can see that in the picture. It's like a wave of wind that comes in and refresh the valley, and that gives that freshness that you were describing in the wine. That very fruity aspect.
Absolutely. I think that there's this big in the United States, there's this big misconception that in Chile it's just hot everywhere, and I think that that's far from the truth. Actually, there's beautiful cooling influences, whether it be the Pacific Ocean or whether it be altitude, and so forth. So that really shines through in the freshness and the acidity here.
Right. You know that the Pacific Ocean here, it's really cold. The temperature of the water normally is around 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. In fact, during the summer, when you are on the beach and you go into the water, you have to run in and then you run out, because it's really hard to stay. You know, it's so cold. But in the other way, that it's really helpful, and it's a beautiful part of this terroir in terms of that give us this cool breeze, this cool wind that goes into the valley. So there are some areas like where we are, where that influence is really important.
Right.
Let me tell you that where we are, it's a denomination of origin called Millawe. That's part of the name of this wine, Milla Cala. Milla means gold, and we place, the golden place. And the native people that they used to live here, they give that name to this area because it was so special for them. There was water, there was a lake, there was mastodons, there was fruit, so it was rich in natural resources, and that's why they call it the golden place. But it's true that the ocean and also the Andes, as you said, the altitude, give us this fresh air that give us a lot of fruity flavors.
Yes, and you get very concentrated, plushy fruits. They're just mouth-filling, coating. Somebody had asked if the wines are distributed in California. I do know that you can find them on wine.com in the United States. So I would assume that you could get them shipped to California.
Yes, yes. Also, we are in California. We also they can be go into our website bigwine.com, and they will find we can send the wine. But also we have distributors in all United States. So we have our wines in some restaurants too. So you will find it in some wine stores. We have beautiful partners that they have our wines all in all the country.
So, what kind of oak aging does this wine see? I'm getting some baking spices here.
Well, that's a good question. All our wines, they have been from 20 to 26 months in barrel. 100% French oak. In this case, the Mia Cala, it's 20 months in barrel. This year, the 15 was 30% new oak, and all the rest first and second use. The idea for me, more than flavor, it's the microoxygenation that helps the tannins to get together. So that makes the tannins more round and soft, and that gives us that really soft mouthfeel in the middle mouth.
Yes.
So 100%. Now we are working now in some new projects about the oak. So
I love that.
yes, well last year I went to France to learn a little bit more about how to make barrels, and in one of the hills that you can see in that picture at the end, on the top, there are some oak trees that they're very old, more than 100 years old. So what we will do now is that all the trees that they are already fall down because of the nature, let's say the wind or something happens that they are lying down on the floor, we are taking that oak to the winery. So now we built a tonnellery in the winery, the one that I have behind me, and we are toasting the barrels that they come from France with our own oak.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, it's amazing. So for me, we started with this 2 weeks ago, and this is a new toy. You know, everybody is working on that now, so we're now trying to find the perfect toast for our wine. So it's the new toy that we have today, and we're working on that now. So the idea is that the barrels, if they give some flavor to the wine, that flavor will be in one part from us, because we are toasting the barrels with our own oak. That's the idea.
I love that, because it's really giving the wine such a sense of place, right? You hear the word terroir in France used a lot, that kind of all being of soil, earth, climate, etc. And when you're using oak from your own property and you're using it and instilling that into the wine, into the glass, I mean, you're truly drinking a place, which I think is so cool and really special. And not everybody in the wine world is doing that. So I think that really is setting you guys apart.
Yes, thank you. It's a crazy idea that started in 2018, and now after almost 2 years, we are just starting with this. You know that 2018 was something really particular for us, because we planted this in 2006, 2007. So 2018 was the first year that the vines were older than 10 years old. And they show something really particular in their personality. The flavor was really pure, and for me that started to make me think how to show this in the most pure way. So our wines, we don't do any filtrations, we don't do any fining, we don't add nothing to our wines, just as natural as possible. But the only thing that we were using that it's not from us were the barrels. So this is the way to have 100% our terroir flavor. And that word, you know, I work with my friends in France several times, and this is something that I get from it. The terroir has something personal to the wine that it's good to show, and this is the way to show it in the most natural way.
Absolutely. And so I'm curious to know if I were in Chile right now drinking this wine with you, what would be some traditional dishes that you would pair with this?
Well, yes. For example, with Milla Cala, we can have, for example, something really particular from Chile that we make here. It could be also also buco. It's a kind of meat that we cook and we make a sauce. We reduce the sauce of the wine, for example, and we use it with that. It's really full of flavor. It's really let's say kind of umami because you can feel the proteins, but also it has some fat on it, so it's really beautiful in the mouth. With this juicy wine, with that acidity, it goes really, really well.
Beautiful. That sounds so good right now. And it's about dinner time, so I'm like,
yes.
that's
yes.
what I need.
Yes, yes. Well, this is something that we cook here, but for big now, if we want, we can go to big now. This is our main wine. Everything was created to produce this wine. This is our icon wine. This is a blend of 4 varieties. It's 2013. It's 67% Cabernet Sauvignon, 17% Cabernet Franc. It has 14 Carboner, and the rest is just a touch of Merlot. It's a really particular year, in 2013, because it was the first year that we have only 4 varieties. We take out the Syrah here, and we concentrate the flavor in the Cabernet Sauvignon and the Cabernet Franc. So here you will feel something, let's say, more structured.
Yes.
But soft, but more structured and very linear.
Absolutely. Very focused on the nose. You know, you definitely still have that kind of plushy red fruit, but it's definitely more Cabernet driven. You can feel that kind of, like you said, structure, precision. Yeah, it's beautiful. Really nice nose.
Thank you. I like that. I love that word that you said, precision. This is something that particularly we look for to feel when you're tasting the wine, to feel very clean wine with very precise, well balanced, with layers of flavor, complexity, but easy to drink. You know that this wine for me is kind of let's say, well, like a book, because this is the wine that you drink you are with this glass and you're doing this all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, your brain is like discovering flavors, like where I feel this before, you know, like it's like a chapter of the book, you know. And when you have the next glass, everything changed again. So it's another chapter, you know. It's like it's a story.
So a couple people had some questions. I'm not sure if you saw, but somebody asked what the percentage of new oak was on this VIK.
Well, this is the last blend that is 100% new oak.
100% new oak.
Yeah, and since 2014 we start to reduce a little bit the new oak, but till 2013, because we were the first production was 2010, and we start with 100% new oak at that time. When the 11 comes, we don't have used oak, so we have to buy new ones, and that was till 2013. But the good thing is that when you taste the wine, the flavor of the oak in terms of the aromas are really at the end. They are part of the blend. They are not in the front.
They're at the end.
Yes. If we talk about it, we remember the oak, but if we don't talk about it, we go with fruit, with spice flavor, bouquet, you know?
So it's funny because, and this is my personal experience right now, you know, you think of Chile, you say, okay, Chile is New World, you know, technically considered for wine. I taste this, if I was blind tasting this wine, I would almost say it was like a left bank Bordeaux blend instead of a Napa Valley, you know, because a lot of times in Napa Valley, like you were just saying, and I might get stoned for saying this, but a lot of times in Napa Valley, the oak hits you, especially new oak, it hits you up in the front. And it's hard to find the fruit after that oak. Where here, I'm getting hit with the beautiful fruits and baking spices and herbs, and then the oak is an afterthought. So that is something that I think is really cool about this.
Wow. Let me say that I'm really happy with what you're saying, because this is something personally that we look for. You know, in 2003, I worked in Margaux, in Chateau Margaux, and something that I learned from them was to first work in the vineyard, and then to look for the balance and the precision, and to have the fruit in front, the structure of the wine in front, and the barrel has to be something on the back helping all this. And when I listened what you said, really like I turned a little bit emotional, because it's something that you're making me cry. No.
Oh.
It's something, you know, like you really, something that I was looking for. So we were working in that way, and thank you for that. This is really what we are looking for. And we are going in that way. The 2014, we will taste it in the future. It's also now three varieties, and we are changing more to Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc. Mm-hmm. In fact, this wine, for me, I always put a name to the vintage. So this vintage, for me, is the change, because we really switched to Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc, and to go in that way, the way that you were saying, that very linear style, fruity, elegant structure, but not over muscle wine.
Right. Which I think in general, the wine consumer today, you know, they're going for more finesse and elegance than they are just like getting slapped in the face with a bunch of oak. Like, the oak is important, of course, but it shouldn't be the main ingredient in what we're tasting in the wines.
Yes, you are totally right. It has to be something that to help you to, for me at least, this micro-oxygenation that happens in the oak, mm-hmm. It helps you to you know, the tannins to get together, to polymerize the tannins, and to get this round, no age, and the beautiful tannins, more than the flavor.
Right.
That's why we are also working on the amphoras. That's another project that we are working on, in order to trying to look for the micro-oxygenation without using oak. So in that way, we avoid to have maybe the oak flavor, but we can have the micro-oxygenation from the pores to make the tannins get together, and in that way we have that sensation of really soft tannins, mm-hmm. but without the flavor of the oak. So absolutely. This is something that we're working on. We're just starting to put our Wines 2020 in it. You know, we're making the amphoras with our own clay. So this picture that you see now, it's one of when we were working on that. This was another crazy idea. We found a spot in the property where we get the clay to make it. And so I don't know. I know there's a lot of wineries using amphoras, but I'm not sure about how many of them are using their own clay to produce it. And right. This will be the way to get the micro-oxygenation without just having the flavor of the oak.
So you're keeping the primary fresh fruit with allowing a little bit of oxygen to kind of give it some complexity, but you're not imparting harsh oak flavors, basically, is what this project would be.
Yes, of course, you're right. It's totally that, what I'm looking for. And if the amphora gives some flavor to the wine, will be our own flavor because it's our own clay, right? So right. Again, 100% our terroir.
Somebody had asked, a friend of mine had asked, how long do you keep, what does she say? How long do you age the wine before you bottle it?
Well, we do a lot of different things from other wineries here in Chile. This wine, the VIK, has been in barrel for 25 months. But after we bottle it, we keep the wine at least 3 years before to release the wine, because what I want is if somebody drink this wine, has to be perfectly drinkable. And if you want to keep this wine, you can keep it for a very long time. When you taste the wine, you can feel that acidity that makes you watery a little bit, that you feel here, and also this thing that you don't feel the oak. It's the way that the wine tells me that you can keep this wine for a very long time. In the future, maybe I will have more than 20 years and I can bring here a bottle with 25 years old. Today, the only thing that is telling me that you can keep this wine for a long time is the acidity that you have there. The oak is high in the blend. It's really, so for that question, at least 3 years, we keep the wine in bottle before to release it.
That's amazing. So you guys really don't cut any corners. It's like 3 years before release, you know, you're not in a hurry to just produce and rush the bottles out of the winery. You're really finessing it here.
Yes, well, we imagine that today we are considered one of the best in Chile in 10 years. We want to be in the concert of the great wines of the world, and the only thing that will make us to get there is to be very consistent in quality. So our commitment and how we make our wine is just about to be precise, to quality. So we planted in a very high density the vineyard, which is different from other wineries, 10,000 plants like in France, 100% rootstock, which is not usual in Chile. I will show you a picture of our vineyard. We planted it in that way to produce very low yields per vine in order to concentrate the flavor.
Yes.
What I mean is, I don't want to have muscle wines. It's concentrate the flavor is layers of flavors, complexity, all this flavor that you're feeling now. Mm-hmm. No addings, no filtrations. The ripeness of the tannins has to be the time in barrel, and then before that, 3 years in bottle because it has to be perfect. So everything it's about to put on the table a wine that has to mean an experience, not only a beautiful wine. It has to be an experience. Imagine this wine in a beautiful table in New York, in a restaurant, with your friends, with your husband, with your friends, with your family, having fun, beautiful food, and this wine will be a moment that will rest for you with a long time.
And that's what it's about too, because you know, I mean, I'm a wine influencer, and I've kind of really joined the wine world in New York City. And, you know, a lot of times wine can be pretty intimidating and it can be a little stuffy. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's really just about drinking delicious wine with your family and friends and the people you care about and the memories that you make while you're drinking the wine. And so when people come up to me and I have friends, you know, they're like, well, I don't know anything about wine. So, and they get like scared to tell me. And I'm like, listen, I don't care. You can like $2 chuck off the shelf there. If this wine is something that brings you joy and it's delicious to you and it's something that is going to instill memories with you and your family and friends for a lifetime, then go for it. I mean, that is what wine is about to me. So I can totally picture this wine, like you were saying, with my friends here in New York at a nice dinner, us laughing over old memories or whatever it is. And that's what this wine is. Definitely is.
Wow. Well, for me, this is something really particular. For me, part of the philosophy to make wine is that you have to enjoy the wine.
You have to.
Something that makes me really happy is to see two things. One is that when they are drinking my wine, it goes like, they talk, but they are like thinking on the wine, you know? It's the wine that keeps you doing this all the time and enjoying when you have the wine here, you're like enjoying. And the other thing that makes me really happy is when they finish the bottle and they ask for the next one. So
for the next one.
That the wine was perfect.
Yeah. And going back to what you were saying earlier about aging this wine. So I always tell people when you're trying a wine, or if you find a wine that you love, buy 2 bottles at least. So drink one now, see what that tastes like, store one away for 5 to 10 years, and then see what it tastes like then. And kind of do that comparison. It's really fun to see how the wine can evolve. Well,
that's something, for example, for this wine, it's something that you'll have that beautiful sensation and a very complex wine, but will be totally different from the experience before. For example, this wine probably won't have that quantity of fresh fruit, but will have more bouquet, and the sensation in the mouthfeel will be beautiful, but different from now. So the good thing is that the wine will show a different face, and of course, we'll have an experience again. That's the good thing of this type of wine, that you can keep, and they will be offering a different sensation in the time. That's great.
Absolutely. And somebody had asked a question. They're wondering about climate change and, you know, is there a need for irrigation? How that has affected you? Have you had to make changes?
Well, during the time, this last 10 years has been really dry. So that makes us to be very aware about how to take care about the water. You know that this country, as California, is full of sun, so you need to irrigate your vines. And so we started first using rootstock with a very pivotal root in the middle that goes really deep. So when they were young, we forced them to look for the water very deep in the soil. So today, after 10 years, 12, 13 years already, you will find roots really deep in the soil, like more than 5-6 meters in the soil. So now the vines are like getting connected and balanced with the nature in that terms. But anyway, for example, where we are on the hills, we have a lot of vineyards on the hills. You have to irrigate them, so you have to be very efficient in how to use the water. You have to keep everything, you know, like all the hoses, the pumps, all the tubes, everything has to be perfect. You have to check. You have to use technology in order to check every point if you are losing water somewhere, because every drop now is really important. And because of that, you have to be really aware how to use the water and to be efficient, and which moment, depending on your goal. In our case, we are looking for a high quality, so we want very small berries, so we have to irrigate at the beginning, not after the flowering. So very technical things that we really take care in order to get beautiful bunches at the end of the season without using that much water.
That's fascinating.
A little stress, but not overstress the vine. It's like, this is the example. Let's say that we are on vacation, having these good wines in the beach. So we are so relaxed that we are not paying attention when it's happening. You're so relaxed, so you forget about things, right? Or you're so overstressed that you don't know what to do first, right?
Right.
But when you have a little stress in your work, you have everything in control, and you go like fast but control, and you know what you do. So it's a little stress, which is good to handle the vines, but not overstress them. When you overstress them, they block and they don't ripe the tannins. You won't have good flavor. So you have to handle the water in a very good way.
You're basically keeping the vines efficient that way. You know, just barely fighting to work.
Yes, that's exactly that. You know, that you have to let them work till the end to the season in a very controlled way. Not too much water and too much sun, because they go, I have everything, so I don't need to ripe the tannins. Right. I don't need to ripe the seeds. But if you have a little bit of water and sun, and they go, I have to ripe the tannin, I have to ripe the seeds, I have to ripe the tannins, because the first rule of every human being is to survive and to continue the species, right? So it's something that it's just to go out there to the vineyard and have the real sensation about how to handle the vineyard. Absolutely,
that's fascinating. Do you have to harvest earlier at all with the climate change?
Well, this year, for example, was a very hot year, the 2020, and yes, we start the harvest like 2 or 3 weeks before. Oh, wow. You know that something that really for us is really important is to work the vineyard during the season, like let's say prune, then how to work the green area, to do the green harvest. And when you're taking decisions, you have a final result at the end in the wine. So since December, here in December start the summer, and since we get that the summer will be very hot, we start to work in order to ripen the tannins quick and to harvest earlier to save that freshness and that beautiful acidity,
Right.
but with ripe tannins. So we worked in that way, and we harvest 3 weeks before. So yes, dry years, you have to be very, very aware about the freshness of the fruit.
Absolutely. But it seems like you guys have all done a fantastic job, because these wines are very fresh, very nice acidity, mouth-watering, but not tart or anything like that. Just really nicely balanced. Really, really nice.
Thank you. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, so this bottle has caused all the rage on my Instagram page when I posted my photo with this. Please tell us about this.
I know. The most beautiful, La Pubelle. This wine, it's what all the family is, all their passions are in this wine. Do you know that they're very passionate about art? They are very passionate about wine, and they are very passionate about hospitality. So for them, they with this wine, they put all their passions together. The label was born from a piece of art. In fact, in our property, we have a hotel, 22 rooms.
Wow.
Each room has art inside, a different artist. So, for example, in one of these rooms, you will find the art of Gonzalo Cienfuegos, which is a Chilean artist. And one of the pieces of art is 3 bottles of paint, double magnum, and one of them is this one. So, well, I'm here since the beginning, so I can tell you a lot of stories. But when we were building the hotel, Alex and Carrie Vick, they came like 4 times every year. They come like 4 or 5 times a year, and they were checking everything. They're really about details. And so before to launch the hotel, they came here, and I remember that Carrie, she has a book. Every room, 3 pages. 1 page, all the art. The next page, all the furnitures. All the furnitures are winner of design in some magazines or contests. And the bathroom. The bathroom could be the same artist or another artist. So I remember that book that she has all the art, everything, and before to launch the hotel, they came here to check every single room. So they were checking, and then they go into the Gonzalo Cienfuegos one, and they go, and then Carrie Vick just walk, and she grabbed this bottle, and she goes like, wow, this is the most beautiful. And then Alice go like, this is the name, this will be the label, and we start to look to work on this label. It takes us a lot of time because it was not easy to make it, but now we found how to make it, and it's a piece of art. So it's really about the family. It's a blend, which is more New World style, because our property, our terroir is so diverse. I have 6 different valleys in the property. 3 of them, they receive more this wind that we were talking about, and that's about VIK and Miyagala. That's why they have this kind of label.
Yep.
And there are 2 valleys where the temperatures are 1 degree Celsius more, and the sensation, the flavors, the tannins are different. And this is what is La Pubelle about. It's more Carmener in this case. It's about 32% Cabernet Sauvignon, 54% Carmener, and the rest is Syrah. And it's more about blackberries, dried plum, violet, lavenders. So it's more about those new world flavors, and the tannins are different. The mouthfeel, the mouthfeel in the middle mouth is different.
It's very it's full bodied, it's plush, it's weighted on the palate, but like you were saying, beautiful freshness, still a nice balanced acidity to kind of lift all of those flavors, all of those black fruits, all of those dark floral notes. Yeah, it's beautiful. Like I could lay this wine down for a while and it would still read very fresh and very fruit forward, even in 10 years.
Wow. Well, this is, you know, that our terroir is so diverse that we can have two different styles of wine. At the beginning, we were thinking just to produce VIK, but then we realized we produced VIK only in 2009 and 2010. In 2011, we start to make this blend, but we didn't know about which label we will use. And in 2015, we decided to go with this one. But since then, La Pubelle has been something really particular about us because it's kind of art, it's wine, it's beautiful, it's like, that's why everybody was on your Instagram like, wow, this is a beautiful label.
Everybody.
It was so different. You know that when this happens, they go, Alex, he was like, we have to go this way. So sure about it. And we were like, but you know, nobody has something like this. But no, we have to go this way. We have to take the risk.
You have to.
And finally, everybody loves it. Like everybody loves it. You know that some people keep it to use it in their home, like, you know, like to have it there because it's so beautiful. And well, it's something that has been something really particular that everybody loves. And I have something special for you to show.
Ooh.
Yes,
I'm excited.
Now we have this one too.
What? That is amazing.
Well, this is the next one that we can taste together.
We have to.
I will show you the label now, but I'm sure that this one will also everybody will talk about. This is also a piece of art. This is also a piece of art. But this is another artist. This is Javier Dabuson. It's a Uruguayan artist, Argentinian Uruguayan artist. He has been working with the family in another property, in another retreat in Italy, in Milano, Galleria Milano, in the downtown of Milan. And well, this is something that we create to show this fresh part of our terroir in a really other way, something really that you can take, that you can drink cold, and you'll see the acidity, that freshness, the fruit. Imagine it's Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Syrah, and you will feel some peach, some pineapple, citrus. It's amazing. So that one, if you want, we can taste it.
Yes, please. If that label is not Grape Chic, I don't know what is. Let me tell you that. And also, I thought it was really funny that you were talking about people putting this up in their homes. So before I got back to New York, I was down at my father-in-law's summer home. We escaped the city during the madness. And he's a big art collector. And there's statues and sculptures all over the house. And when he came up to North Carolina, and I had this wine, you had just sent me the wine. And he saw this bottle. And it blew his mind, and he took it and he put it next to one of his sculptures, and he was like, well, you know, I'm just going to take this one because I had like cases of wine there. He's like, well, I'm just going to take this one. I hope that's okay. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I need that for a tasting. I'll get you a bottle. But he really wanted, this big art collector really wanted to showcase this next to one of his sculptures. And so I thought that was really cool. It was exactly what you said. It's just unbelievable. And that bottle, that new one, would go perfectly in my living room on display and in my glass. So it works. Great.
That will be the next one. So if we will taste that one. Well, that happens with La Pubelle. It's so special. Imagine that when we finally decide to go with it, some people goes like, but nobody will see the wine, right? Normally you have to see the glass, and people needs to see the wine. But we take the risk and we go, no, we will be the same as the original, all covered, and let's see what happens. You know, everybody get crazy, and it's very good sales, and the good thing is that the wine is really good.
It's so good. And another thing that I like about this too, and I'm excited to try the new one, but I loved for this one how there is that Carbonara in there, and so you mix, you know, a grape that's really known in Chile, and you mix a Chilean artist, and you're really just creating a beautiful story, even with the grape variety. So I think that's really cool as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's why also the way to separate a little bit both wines. VIK is more Cabernet Sauvignon, which is also the flagship of Chile, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Cabernet, which is the new flagship, you know, since 1994, has been the new variety, and has become like Zinfandel in California, like you know, Shiraz in
Shiraz.
Australia, but yes, it was a different way to show this, in a very elegant way to show this Cabernet, and well, has been fantastic.
So good, so good. I'm gonna order all of these wines again and just lay them down, because I want to have like a juicy tomahawk steak with this. Like, this is so good. Like, my husband just walked in from a walk, and he is gonna flip over this wine, all three of them. So we might actually just open a full one tonight. But I'm excited.
Really good, really good. Well, I have a lot of more things to tell you, but the time is short. I would like to ask you one question that it's our, let's say, our icon question every big session.
What is it?
It's about music. What's the music that really makes you, you know, like inspiring you? That music that when you are tasting that wine that you like, you want to hear. Which it's the music that you like in that precise moment where you are, you know, with this connection with your senses, wine, everything.
That's a great question. Oh man, you know. I would have to say, when I'm drinking wine and I'm in the zone, I'm a sucker for the Rat Pack, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and kind of going back into time with those guys. So that's kind of the music that I would like to listen to when I'm tasting great wine.
Wow, I love the voice, Frank Sinatra, especially New York.
And that too.
That's a great song. In fact, that was the one that we, with my wife, we select to, you know, when we get married, to get into the party.
Oh, I love that.
So, you know, I have a very special connection with New York. I have to tell you that.
That's amazing. And I'm very typical Italian from New York. I love everything about New York City culture. And so, like I said, Frank Sinatra and that whole vibe with the Rat Pack is definitely special.
Well, New York for me has been really particular. I have very good friends there. I have family there. One of my cousins lives there in Hudson, on the other side of the river.
Yep.
And there's something also really particular, because I will tell you the story really quick. You know that we went to New York years ago with my wife. At that time was my girlfriend, and I asked her to marry me in New York in a restaurant on the Rockefeller Center with the Empire State on the front. That was crazy.
Yep, that's amazing. Wow, that is pretty epic. Good job. That's good.
Yeah, that was really an experience.
Yeah.
So just the last question before to say thank you very much to you, because with all this time that you give us to taste our wine. Now I will ask you how you will pair our wines. What is the best pairing in New York for all the Chileans that they are listening to you now? The best pairing in what place is the best one in New York to have this wine?
Okay, this is hard for me to say. So in New York. Oh, my friend Wes just joined he's from New York too. So in New York, we take our steakhouses very seriously, as I know that you guys do in South America as well, whether it be Chile or Argentina. But there's something about the old school steakhouses when you're talking about Peter Luger's. Let's stick Peter Luger's. I mean, that is an establishment. It is cash only. It is old school. It is, they only serve steaks. And, you know, there's Old Homestead, there's Smith and Wilensky's, you know, there's all these old school New York steakhouses. I would take this wine to Peter Luger's, which is the New York City's best steak in Brooklyn. And I would pair all three of these with their steaks. And they're traditional, thick, New York City style, beautiful porterhouse steaks. And that's where I'm bringing these wines.
Wow. Thank you very much. Now all our friends from Chile, Brazil, Argentina knows where they have to go.
Peter Luger's, you have to go.
Yes. And I know that we can be talking about a long time. We will let the rosé for the next one if you want.
Yes, please.
And let me say thank you very, very much for all the time that you give us.
Thank you very much.
And now all the Chilean people from Brazil, they know more about New York, about you. And thank you very much for your time. A pleasure. And hopefully we will see in the future.
I hope to
Stay
visit.
safe. I know that New York was really hit with the pandemic, but now you are getting up again. You're a very strong city. You're a very strong city. I know that. And thanks again.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I hope to visit you soon. Beautiful wines. And I really want to get to Chile. You guys are #1 on my list to visit and make an appointment. So I hope to see you soon.
Well, that's a commitment. You have friends now here. If you come here, we will be waiting for you.
I'm coming, so don't worry.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you again.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.